are experiencing this orangey sky. And because I'm an empathetic guy, I want to like put on my orange for them, right? I've got the burnt orange sky, this very color. I thought, yeah, I'm going to wear orange. For all of my New York friends who are like suffering from what Californians have had to deal with, say, for the past 3 years during fire season. I mean, I looked at the pictures. It's bad when the Statue of Liberty looks like she's wearing Giants colors, San Francisco Giants. When you can barely see buildings. No, it's bad. And I see pictures of people walking around Central Park, and it's like they're on Mars or something. It's eerie. But you'll recall 2020, 2021. I'm California. Like, you could be in San Francisco having lunch, and you're saying, well, why is the sky this way? Oh, there's a fire about 100 miles away. And, you know, this has been kind of the thing. And the good news is if we connect this all together, right, the reasons why we're having fires in Canada is because of the heat that creates the dry brush, that creates the kindling for forest fires, that create the smoke, that blow in our direction and give the United States air quality equal to a third world nation, equal to the most polluted industrial nation. It's sort of like, you could see it as a wake-up call, but in a way, it's like the environment catching up to where we should be ordinarily, were it not for the Clean Air Act, were it not for the resistance that some of us put on corporate malfeasance, corporate polluters. I mean, the Trump administration, right? The EPA was really a case of, right, the fox guarding the hen house kind of thing. It's a little better with Biden, but frankly, we got to make the environment, we got to make climate a concern. And I've always said this, that if you had to pick one thing to do to improve or to make a dent on climate change, something very simple: stop eating meat. I mean, really, you stop eating meat, you're making a vote with your palate, with your breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You're making a vote with a meal, essentially, right? So you stop eating meat. Meat is responsible for so much damage to our environment through everything from the grains that we grow to feed the cows, to the runoff, to the methane, to the on and on and on. I mean, if we stopped eating meat, or if you stopped eating meat, that would be probably the most responsible thing you could do. So think about that when you're running around with your N95s, your double N95s out in the East Coast, or actually it's beyond the East Coast. It's the South Coast, the Midwest. Air's bad in Detroit, air's bad in Philadelphia, air's bad everywhere. And they've canceled some professional sporting events. They may even cancel the Belmont. Pete is out there calling for the cancellation of the Belmont. They've stopped training at Belmont because the air quality ratings for Belmont is around the 200 level. I mean, I hear the governor has said if it's above 200, they're going to cancel the race on Saturday. And everyone is praying for some kind of change, some kind of wind. I don't think there's going to be any rain, but they're praying for some kind of cleansing thing in the environment to bring down the particulate matter and the air quality. But I don't think it's happening. And here's the thing: you might think it's okay to be out there. But take it from someone who has lived through it in California. What you're trying to avoid is the PP 2.5, right? Or particulate matter 2.5. It's so small that it gets into your system, gets into your blood, and that's where it does the harm. I mean, you may have seen the stats. It's like smoking like 7 packs of cigarettes, something like that. I mean, you will feel it. The toxicity is felt immediately. Not only do you see it around you, you smell it, and like I said, you may think that you're fooling everyone and just, hey, I can get by with this. I can get by without it. No. Continued exposure, you will be harmed. Asthmatics, you will be harmed. So please take care and pay heed to the warnings about the air wherever you are. Hi, everyone. It's Emil Guillermo, Emil Amok to you. This is a program, I call it, and this is like your second screen talk radio type program, right? You put it on your browser. You find us on Twitter at Emil Amok, on YouTube at Emil Amok1. You find us on Facebook at emilguillermo.media or Emil Guillermo. You put it on your screen, your browser. I think you do this with YouTube. You lift it up and you keep it open, and then you can hear me, and it's like, hey, I got my little companion here. And he's really about the size of my iPhone 13. What do you know? It's Emil. And listen to it like radio. I mean, you can pay attention to it. You just sort of like, I'm your ambient friend. A good kind of ambient friend. So we're here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific for not more than an hour, maybe less. I just want to talk at you about the news. I write about the news. And so while I'm writing about the news, I try to talk about it too. Old-fashioned talk radio style. Of course, you don't get to say anything back. I mean, you could. I mean, you can go on Facebook or YouTube where the chat is, and you can put something there. I'll see it later. Or you can send me an email. Go to amok.com. If I say something that you take issue with, or maybe you just want to give me a Venmo. I am at Emil Amok. But today, it turns out there was a big surprise. Well, a couple of big surprises. Gavin Newsom wants a 28th Amendment. The 28th Amendment, this is sort of like the holy grail for Constitution amenders. Like, oh, there's got to be a next one, right? I didn't even know what the 27th is, but the 28th, I mean, I'm sure if you said, oh, well, Emil, did you know the 27th Amendment is this? The 28th Amendment, that's the next thing. And it should be for something good. So why can't it be for something like a sensible end to, or for sensible gun legislation or some kind of sensible gun policy? That's what Gavin Newsom wants, his 28th Amendment. He was on the Today Show today announcing it. Exclusive interview. He all over California talking about it. He's governor of California. I think it's Gavin Newsom's attempt to have a surrogate presidential campaign. I mean, he can't really run for president. I mean, he's Biden's guy. I mean, make no mistake, he's Biden's guy. So how does he get his name out there as, oh, Biden's old, I'm the young guy? That's what he wants to be. I'm the young Democrat out here. Because you think about all the other young Democrats, who are they? Buttigieg? Did you have a good time at the airport lately? Kamala Harris, an old rival and friend of Gavin Newsom when she was not just senator, of the great state of California, but also the Attorney General. And, you know, when she sort of hopped up, because frankly, the presidency was in, whether he admits it or not, it was in Newsom's sights, and he was sort of kind of next in line. You know, he's out of the old San Francisco machine, political machine, you know, the Burton machine, Pelosi, Feinstein. It seemed like at some point it would be ready for a Newsom ascendancy. But for some reason, a lot of different reasons, Trump, didn't happen. You know, Newsom had to fight that recall effort. He beat it handily. I think, and now he's termed out. He's got to figure out what to do. Well, I don't think he's termed out yet, but there are term limits in California. I think this is not just his something to do, but this is Gavin Newsom in search of a national campaign that will thrust him into the headlines. He's a candidate looking for a campaign. That's what this is. This 28th Amendment for guns in the U.S. Constitution. And, you know, you got this wave of gun violence, the worst ever in the history of the United States. You got California that wants to set the tone as the most aggressive state. Actually, look, California had the assault weapons ban first. Feinstein then took it to the Senate. And then it was the rule, it was the law of the land until it was sunsetted, political reasons. So he's going to pursue this amendment. He's got cash left over from his landslide 2022 re-election campaign. And he's going for the frustration that we all feel in this country, where, you know, the polling numbers are pretty good. You know, people want reform. You look at the different different polls, like Fox had a poll. I mean, this is a bipartisan sort of thing. And what could be better for a guy like Newsom, who is progressive to a point, but wants to shed that California is for fruits and nuts, and, you know, and wants to spread that national appeal. He wants to end the kind of glamour boy appeal that he has, although this isn't going to be great with the Ducks Dynasty crowd. But according to, this was a Fox News poll, Americans on gun control, 87% favor criminal background checks, 81% favor raising legal age to 21, 77% favor waiting periods, 61% favor bans on assault rifles. And that's those are essentially the planks of Newsom's 28th Amendment. He wants to ban regular citizens from having an assault rifle. I mean, who's going to, regular citizens? Now, I can see where, if you're starting a militia, maybe you'd want an assault weapon. But if you're an average guy, what value is an assault weapon except to kill more people faster than a shotgun or a hand pistol? You don't need an assault weapon. You want a gun? I mean, Newsom says this doesn't supplant the Second Amendment. It doesn't threaten the Second Amendment. It just says, hey, we're going to set standards for the nation. And according to the polls, he's got polls by no less than Fox News. He's got people supporting this. 87% favoring criminal background checks. I mean, some people should have guns, criminals shouldn't, right? We can all agree to that. You commit a crime, maybe that right's taken away. 81% favor raising legal age to 21. Well, yeah, if you're a minor, if you aren't mature enough, not your right, turn 21, legal age, not only can you drink, but you can have a gun too. 81% in favor of that. 77% favor a waiting period. Waiting periods are good. Cool off. Oh, I don't need that gun. Or maybe people can do more checks. Waiting period, a good thing. 3/4 of the nation agree with that. And then 61% say, yeah, let's ban citizens, or let's ban assault weapons. People don't need assault weapons. They need a gun. If you're starting a militia, here's a musket. You know, you got the thing and you got to like pump the shot down and then you put it on your shoulder and you line up. Well, you know, you would think that you're not the only one in the militia. Strength in numbers, right? You don't need an assault weapon. But you look at what Newsom is proposing, and those four things could be a winning campaign. So that as the Republicans and Democrats go to fight this election year, Gavin Newsom is out there saying, hey, vote for the 28th Amendment. And the way it works is he gets it passed in California. He gets 33 other states on board. Not impossible. I think it would be easier to get a Filipino-American elected president, which again is infinitesimal, the odds, but I would say you'd have a better chance of getting a Filipino-American elected president than passing this amendment, this 28th Amendment. But there's a chance. You get 33 other states. The thing that makes it difficult is that Democrats control 20 state legislatures. So it would be hard. But, see, this is where you kill. I shouldn't say you kill two birds with one stone, but you can do it where you can get 33 states. You got to go into each individual state and change the legislatures. And then once you do that, let's see, what are the steps? You got to get two-thirds of the House of Representatives. You get 2/3 of the Senate and 3/4 of the states. Or it can be proposed by 2/3 of the states, but still requires 3/4 votes of the states to ratify. That is, if you get 2/3 of the states, you call for a constitutional convention. And then, you know, you got to get 3/4 of them to all vote. So there's a kind of constitution math here. But, you know, this is the kind of thing that gives a politician something worthwhile to do. And if you say, well, someone asked Newsom, do you think this will be done in your lifetime? He says, I hope so. But you got to start sometime. And that's why it's a good idea. So good luck to Gavin Newsom. I know Gavin Newsom as professionally over the years. I remember when he was supervisor he was mayor. Well, he was supervisor. He was also mayor of San Francisco. And I go back that far. And, you know, we see each other at funerals for old Filipino activists. He shows up to them and we chat a bit. Before he was elected governor, we chatted. It's not the reason he won, but he knows what it takes to put on the shoe leather and to campaign. So Newsom needs something worthwhile to do. This may be something worthwhile to do for Gavin Newsom and the country. And it looks like maybe it could be a good bipartisan issue on the 4 points that are the main planks of his 28th Amendment. So you'll be hearing about that. more about Mike Pence, Chris Christie, everyone throwing their hat in the ring. We talked about that yesterday. I kind of like this guy, Doug Borgham, North Dakota. A little conservative, but he had this idea of like neighbor helping neighbor. Of course, he's a Republican, and we talk about all these Republicans because who has the appeal to not just wrest voters away from Donald Trump, but wrest a few independents and Democrats, moderates away from what's soon to be a Biden presidential campaign. And I'll tell you, Pence is not the guy. Chris Christie isn't the guy. Doug Borgham only as a novelty. So on the Democratic side, the name that has come up this last week has been Cornel West. And now I kind of mentioned Cornel because I know him a bit, just a bit. I was in a class that he was a TA years ago. Like I said, all these guys, they don't remember. I'll go by them at some event and say, hey, brother. That's what he'll say to me. And I said, oh, yeah, the brother Filipino. Yeah, look, Cornel West is okay. He's got his issues, but already people on the left are saying, come on, Cornel. Lawrence Tribe said this. Said that if you throw your hat in the ring, you're going to take away progressive voters. You're going to enable the Republicans. Cornel may have that kind of pull. Just not. It's almost like a Ralph Nader-esque kind of move. And I like Nader, but that's what Nader did. He took away votes from the main Democrat, and the rest is history, right? I mean, that's why you consolidate. I don't think Cornel would make a great president. I think he would make a great speechifier. I think he would make a great storyteller. And I guess he's doing this for the same way that Newsom. Look, at least Newsom, when he campaigns for the anti-gun violence, or he campaigns for the 28th Amendment to curb guns, he doesn't go after the Second Amendment. He doesn't go after the presidency. He goes to the heart of stories that are important, that we never seem to have an answer. I'm talking about stories of, say, the mass shootings, the gun deaths that we see on a daily basis, the singles, the ones and twos, and it gets to the point now where we only pay attention if it's more than 4. But the truth is they're all bad. So, that's Newsom's thing. He's not getting anybody's way. Cornel West might. So let's see how it develops. I'll tell you, if you're looking for a third-party candidate who surely is not out there to screw things up, but might insert something valuable in the campaign, I'd look at Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson, are you crazy? No. We need someone who is spiritual and yet not a theocrat. A theocrat along the lines of Pat Robertson, who coincidentally died today. I found out what 700 Club meant. 700 Club meant his original donors. There were 700 original donors. And I guess now maybe he was one of them. So now it's the 699 Club. So he's gone, passed away. He was a force. And here's the thing. You have your own radio station, your own television station, Christian Broadcasting Network. Sometimes that's more powerful than being president. I mean, he ran for president and lost. But in many ways, maybe he had it all anyway. When you have your CBN there in Virginia, You get away with saying outrageous things with Jerry Falwell. Thing is, when you are a theocrat like Pat Robertson, you don't deserve to be leader of the free world. I said leader of the lead world. That's a kind of a mashup. I think that was, but he's come close, and he's infected a later generation who believe in that kind of theocratic force in a democracy, which is totally antithetical. But he believed in it, and some people have adopted his belief. You see it a bit in Mike Pence, which is a little scary, which is why even if I were a Republican leaning conservative, I'd be scared of some of those guys out there. But see, and that's why Borgham's is refreshing if you're for a conservative. Or I don't know what his religious beliefs are. But here's the thing about Marianne Williamson. Spiritual doesn't mean necessarily religious. Doesn't mean it's exclusive. Doesn't mean you're cut out. I mean, she likes to joke that she is, or that her Course in Miracles that she likes to teach was written by Jews who believed in Christianity and adopted everything. They were really non-denominational. They were spiritual, which is what could help right America's ship. Of course, I say that, and I risk losing the atheists out there. But you could believe in a force and believe in what Marianne Williams believes in. It doesn't have to be a god. But anyway, if I were considering someone as a far outside candidate, third-party candidate, take a look at Marianne Williamson. You could do a lot worse. Now, a lot of people are looking at Robert F. Kennedy Jr. and saying the mainstream media is censoring Bobby Kennedy Jr. for his anti-vax beliefs. I don't know if that's the case. I think they are censoring him, if that's what it is, or blocking him from coverage because this is where it's tricky. Is it because they don't believe in his views? They don't want him to gain traction? They think his anti-vax views are dangerous because then they've made a judgment on Kennedy. And so is that something you blame the mainstream media? The gatekeepers? In some ways, I don't know if you blame the gatekeepers, but it's odd to see the mainstream treat a Kennedy that way, except when he's got some extreme views on vaccination, probably the chief one. I haven't really done too much reading up on Robert F. Kennedy Jr. His father was a great man, but you're not voting for his father. But anyway, he's a third-party candidate along with Marianne Williamson. I just hope that people have a way to look at all of them, and then you can make up your own mind and do the best thing, not just for you, but for the country. All right, so we took care of Newsom's 28th, Cornell West, the air, and then it's been a weird week because I've been on, not necessarily pins and needles, but I've just been waiting for this Harvard decision to come out. And if you've been following me on my columns that I write for ALDEF, the Asian American Legal Defense and Education Fund, well, you know that I write about that Harvard case, I've been writing about it for easily since 1995 in my various columns around the country. Every machination from, cases, different case. The Harvard case actually doesn't begin until 2013, 12, something like that. But before then, there were other cases, the Fisher case at UT, the case in Michigan. There were affirmative action cases in California. There was Prop 209 in 1995, which is probably where I first started really writing about affirmative action, when California had a movement to get rid of it in public education and in public hiring. It did. It succeeded. So I'm curious what's going to happen with the Harvard case. So I'm waiting, and then today, here's the U.S. Supreme Court unpredictably straying from its rigid 6-3 conservative stance on just about everything, right? And they come out with this very unpredictable 5-4 majority where the liberal viewpoint on a controversial issue is backed by the majority, 5-4. And you say, what? What's going on here? The issue was the voting rights of African Americans in Alabama. Now, just there, you say, forget it. This is going to be bad, right? Going in, knowing that this is going to be bad for African Americans, voting rights. It's going to be another shredding of the Voting Rights Act. Nope. Turns out the court surprised us all by ruling that Alabama had taken away power from black voters by drawing up a congressional map with 0 districts that had a black majority. And Chief Justice John Roberts' opinion required the state legislature to draw a second district to give black voters a chance of representation. I mean, the fear is they don't want race to play a role, and they still fear that, they wrote in the opinion, or Roberts did. But he said that, we still feel the same way we do about race, but our view simply holds that a faithful application of our precedents and a fair reading of the record before us do not bear them out here, their fears. So ALDEF wrote an amicus brief on the case, and Roberts was joined in the majority opinion by conservative Justice Brett Kavanaugh and the 3 liberal ladies, Sotomayor, Kagan, and Ketanji Brown Jackson. 5-4. That's the magic number. 5-4. So now everyone's wondering, is this the magic way? Is this how we get to a win for affirmative action? Or does it look like affirmative action in the Harvard case is going to lose 6-3? Can we eke out a 5-4 here? I'm thinking about this. I don't think anyone knows yet. But I've been waiting for ever since, we turned into May, because we know that the court has said, we're going to take care of this Harvard thing before we recess in July. So everyone thought, okay, here's the month. It's going to happen this month. And then there's some observers who say, nah, not going to happen until the last 2 weeks. Not going to happen until the last week. I just know, you never know. And today you never know, because the Supreme Court went 5-4 on us. How dare they, right? I mean, I'm all set to have the real, the sad face party. What happened to affirmative action? It's going away. I mean, I still think this is a real threat to affirmative action. And as I've written in the last 3 months, little signs that suggest, It's going to happen. But I don't know. This was the court went 5-4, and now there's hope. Now there's some real hope. You know, but I caution people. Because the court's unpredictable. And here's the shit. I mean, I'm trying to deal with it so that if the negative comes down and affirmative action is ripped to shreds, taken away, I'm trying to deal with it in a mature fashion, right? But you know, it boils down to this. If they get rid of affirmative action, you know, a rejection of race-based admissions would have an impact on who gets what in every aspect of society where there's a choice involving people. And it's not just college admissions, it's going to be on job opportunities, it's going to be on everything. Who gets what? And they'll go back to the admissions case and say, see, we got rid of affirmative action here. And you'll say, but how do we assure fairness in a world of limited resources and opportunities? Heretofore, the record will show that we've done it. We've assured fairness in a world of limited resources and opportunities by moving forward with a policy that may not have been perfect, but you know, it allowed us to use race in an effort to create a sense of fairness for historical discrimination. If you didn't show up, if you weren't there, now you were there. Now they saw us. Legally, they had to see us. Legally, they had to include us. And that policy, that approach has been responsible for the creation of middle-class wealth and achievement for many people of color. And that's called affirmative action. If it's reversed, what's left? And that's why today's decision by the court, not 6-3, but 5-4 in favor of the liberal view in terms of voting rights, to allow to have the state legislature in Alabama, because they didn't get it right the first time, to have them come up with a district so that black voters can have a representative. That, to me, could be a sign. I'm not saying it is. At the same time I'm saying this, I'm preparing for the bad old 6-3 court to rear its head. But a 5-4 with Roberts and Kavanaugh coming over, that might be the answer. I mean, that might be the answer. We'll see. There's tomorrow, Friday. Sometimes they'll dump things on a Friday. Then there's, who knows, Monday. Monday's always bad with courts, with the Supreme Court. You know, you're waking up from the holiday and you're ready to face Monday and, got this terrible court decision. I won't forget the Fisher case. I was on vacation on the East Coast. I was on a boat somewhere and I get a text. Actually, it was a good one. They ruled against Fisher. They ruled for the University of Texas. But I was having so much fun. Then I had to work. Not fun. But fun only in that it was a positive. It was a positive for the community. It was a positive for America. All right, hey, that's it for today. I'm surprised. I was just surprised, really, just frankly surprised by the Supreme Court. Let's hope it's a trend. Maybe. I'll tell you one trend I'd like to say. I'd like to see the Miami Heat start making more baskets and win the NBA fourth game. Go back to Denver with the series all tied. That would make me happy. Yesterday's game, not that exciting to me. The Nuggets won in a kind of blowout. The Heat may be too erratic, but I like the fact that they're underdogs. I like the fact that no one expects them to win, and yet they find a way. Maybe they win the next game, game 4. I understand it's going to be like only 1 day rest, so maybe that'll help. And then they go back to Denver. All right. Hey, it's good that I'm wearing orange, and the Giants, the San Francisco Giants, my team, they're winning. I slipped. I called them my team. They're not my team. But the team I grew up with and the team I root for, they're doing better. Their colors are orange and black, so it makes me feel good when they win. But it's a long season. You take it seriously toward the end. Just like basketball. If you say, Emil, I don't know how you get into basketball. It just seems like it can be exciting. But if you aren't into it, just watch the last quarter. Watch the first 10 minutes and then watch all of the last quarter. And that's it. And all the things in between, they're just like, they're playing with themselves. But when it comes down to business, the real teams show up last quarter. So first 10 minutes, last quarter, that's all you need. Hey, we're here Monday through Friday, 2 p.m. Pacific live. Catch us on Twitter at Emil Amok, EMILAMOK. Catch us on YouTube at youtube.com/@EmilAmok1. Facebook, fb.com/EmilGuillermo.media. And I replay all this on AMOK.com. So check that out. Peter podcast dropped yesterday. We talked about, what did we talk about? Oh, we talked about camels in Gaza and how they're badly treated. The camels and the horses. No, not Gaza, Giza. The city of Giza, the West Nile. So check that out, wherever you podcast. And watch the replays of this show. This is show 536. 535 wasn't bad. 534 was also good. AMOK.com. Also, let's see. I do a solo show. A little bit. This is, I just talk here. But the solo show, I tell, stories, jokes, stories with a point, jokes with a punchline. So there people have been known to laugh. I did it in New York. I'm doing it again at Emil Amok, Lost NPR host at the San Francisco Fringe. August 12th, I believe, is the first date. Only 3 performances. But I'll go into more detail later, but mark the dates, October 12th, also on the 18th and the 19th. Yeah, Emil Amok, Lost NPR host, found in San Francisco. All right, that's it. Hey, I like to meditate. I do, honest to God. It's helped me. It's made me less amok. That's something. And it always boils down to the loving kindness practice. Loving kindness, you say, yeah. Just say this. Simple little prayer. You say, as I wish for me, I wish for you. May you be safe. May you be happy. May you be healthy. And may you live with ease. Emil Guillermo here. Till next time. Mahal